Hi, I'm Stephanie with KCR Community Resources. We have another one of our Okanagan Volunteer Fair participants. We have Shelley, Buchanan, Gilmore with Community Recreational Initiative Society, also known as CRIS Adaptive. Welcome, Shelley.
It's great to be part of this KCR annual volunteer fair, and I can't wait to tell you more about the great volunteer opportunities that are over here with us at CRIS Adaptive.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your organization.
Sure. CRIS Adaptive was founded in 2001. Year is our 20th birthday. We're pretty excited about that. And our organization, basically, in a nutshell, breaks down barriers for people to the outdoors. So we provide guided and supported outdoor recreation opportunities. Our current activities are paddling, which includes canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding. We do cycling. We have both on-road and off-road cycling, and we have hiking. So we have both trail rider assisted hiking and guided and supported walking hikes as well. Our programs run year round. In the wintertime, we have guided and supported cross-country skiing and guided and supported snowshoeing. So we are a year-round barrier breaker.
Excellent.
The populations that we serve are pretty much anybody that faces a barrier to the outdoors. Age doesn't matter, background doesn't matter, ability doesn't matter. All we focus on is what the person can do, what they want to do, what their ambitions are, and we'll modify equipment, we'll modify activity. Our goal is just to get everybody outside.
Awesome. How do volunteers make an impact with your organization?
We are a volunteer-driven organization. We have been our entire existence. At the most, we will have 2 full-time paid staff year-round. We do have summer students that come in, but if it wasn't for volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do the trips or do the work that we do. We had, at the highest point, over 400 volunteers listed in our database. I think we're at now probably at about 250. I think the last, or 247, I think was the last number. And the reason the number went down is honestly people have moved away. It is what it is, but the volunteers are the core of our existence. We have avid hikers, cyclists, skiers, and then we've got, people that come in and help us in the office, help us on our adaptive travel trips, which is our wilderness multi-day excursions. We just have volunteers in every capacity, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them.
Absolutely. I've had a little bit of experience with CRIS Adaptive, and I've seen the volunteers really enjoy what they do as well. So, and who wouldn't enjoy being part of the outdoors? So.
Well, and the reality too is we've heard from so many volunteers that when they first signed up to be a volunteer, they thought, okay, I get to go on a cycle trip, or I get to go on a multi-day wilderness adventure, or, I get to do what I like to do. And then when they've done it, they come back and say, I had no idea the impact this was going to have on my life. I thought I was giving my time, my talents to support the efforts of CRIS. What I didn't understand was the impact it was going to have on my life.
Absolutely. What types of volunteer opportunities are currently available?
Well, we're always looking for trip volunteers. So these are people that accompany and possibly even lead our daily trips. So these are our 2 and 4 hour urban programs. So that is people that love the outdoors, that are avid hikers, cyclists, paddlers themselves. But we also have opportunities for office staff. We do need people for projects, computer-based projects, marketing projects. We really would love to see some more people come to us that know quite a bit about mechanics and cycles. We do run a full fleet of vehicles to do what we do that require maintenance, and if we can do that with a volunteer versus pay shop rates, that helps us immensely as a charity. And then with our cycle fleet, we have a huge cycle fleet that requires a spring tune-up every year and maintenance throughout the year because they get used so much. So we really do need those bike mechanics, those vehicle mechanics. We need people that can support web development or IT-based projects as well. So pretty much the full gamut.
Right. That was my next question about specialized skills. Are there any other specialized skills of volunteers you're looking for?
Well, certainly with our adaptive travel program, when we send a team out on a wilderness excursion with a client, so this is going into either the front country or the back country, we need licensed guides. We need people that have that backcountry experience and certifications to start joining our teams. We have more requests for these wilderness excursions than we can actually pull off in a year because we don't have enough of these licensed guides.
Okay. You mentioned a bit about the daily urban trips and the time commitment there. Is there an expectation of a certain number of hours per week or per month that you would ask your volunteers to contribute?
Well, because of the training that we put our volunteers through now, we've just rolled out a brand new training program in 2020, and it does have a commitment to it. Because of the specialized service we provide and the clients that we serve, there is quite a bit of training. So we don't want to put people through all of this training time only for them to say, well, sorry, I'm moving away for the next 6 months, or I'm, that sort of thing, because we are asking them to commit to quite a bit of training. So we do ask that you commit to the training and that you do commit to 1 or 2 trips every month to be able to keep your training fresh. That way you're also coming in, if there's any updates to the training, your period between volunteer opportunities isn't so long that you've missed a ton of stuff. So, we are asking for volunteers to work with us on that. There's a lot of equipment training that has to happen. There's a lot of training related specifically to our clients. So understanding autism, understanding spinal cord injury, understanding MS and CP, and all of these different challenges that our clients face. We work with our volunteers to understand all of those different dynamics. And that itself is, it's a bit of time.
Yeah. And some of that training would be super helpful, depending on the age of your volunteers, but some of your younger volunteers, that'd be great training going into future careers. So I'm just thinking, just having that preliminary experience and training would be excellent.
Oh, it is. It's and this year, because we're formalizing it, we're turning it into an actual module-based training program. And the idea behind this is it was going to all be an in-person training, but with COVID now, we've I guess pivoted like everybody else, and we're turning all of our training into online training. There's always going to be a component of that where you have to demonstrate the skills, and that would be in person, but we're really hoping to get all of this training online, and we've actually just engaged a PhD student from UBCO to help us with the further development of that online training.
Great. If I wanted to volunteer with CRIS Adaptive, what are the steps that I would need to take?
The first step is to fill out a volunteer application form. So this form talks about you as a person, you as far as your skills and your experience and your background, but also your ambitions and your intentions as a volunteer. So that gives us a little bit of insight. And based on the information you provide to us and the current recruitment needs for volunteers, we would reach out to people based on their application form, do an interview. And if the interview goes well for both parties, then we would ask you to fill out further paperwork, which is things like waivers, personal health records. We do have to collect those for all volunteers that are going out in the field because our trip leaders are responsible for the health and safety of every single person out on that outing or that activity. So if you're not the type that wants to disclose your personal health information, we would have that conversation in an interview and determine the best way forward. Once you've had all the paperwork completed and sent in to us, then we do a police clearance. Yes, we do work with vulnerable populations, so we do have to have a current police clearance on file. And we do, from that point, then your file is stamped as complete, and then you go into getting scheduled for training. So that would start with what we call the CRIS 110, which is the history and mission and vision and values of CRIS Adaptive. And then we move into, because of this year of 2020, we have a module called COVID 111. So we tell you all about COVID and how that impacts your daily life as a volunteer. And then you would move into the 200 level courses, which are things like understanding our programs, understanding our clients, that sort of thing. At that point, you're then can begin to be assigned out onto trips.
Great. Yeah, and knowing, having the training in the COVID protocol, especially when you're working so closely with people who may have vulnerable immune systems, and even just for yourself, nobody wants to contract that disease. But really important to learn the proper way. I mean, we only can glean so much from what we hear in the media, so the proper training is important.
Exactly. And for us, honestly, without the proper protocols, we can't operate. We can't be open. So all of our staff and all of our volunteers have to agree to follow it. Mandatory masks at all times, even out on trips. If you're hiking and you can maintain a 6-foot distance, that's one thing. But even then, you know, we have the safety protocol of masks. So if you're unable to wear a mask because of your own health issues, we would have to discuss that during the interview process. But it is about protecting each other. So it's, you know, a lot of our clients are immunocompromised to some level. Quite a few of them have multiple health issues on the go. And our protocols have been developed with that in mind. So masks, glove, disinfecting, you know, we go the full distance when it comes to the health and safety of our clients and our team. And, you know, right down to, you know, the group size we've had this year, we've got a mandatory group size of 6. Which has definitely impacted our ability to run programs. But our clients are loving it right now because the volunteers get to come out, the staff get to come out, the client comes out, and it's usually a private trip for the client by the time we add all of these supports. So they get this private tour.
Right. So important to be able to continue to offer those services during this time. Like, definitely important prior to COVID, but I feel like it's even more necessary now. So.
Oh yes, and you know, and one thing we have never really talked a lot about to what CRIS does is we promote positive mental health.
Absolutely.
And the whole getting outside is a big part of that. I mean, Dr. Bonnie Henry early on said, you know, just get outside. And so we adopted hashtag Get Outside as one of our ways to get the point across. You know, being inside is not a good thing with this pandemic. Being outside opens up a world of opportunity.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like an interested volunteer to know?
I think that in the volunteers that I've met, and I certainly haven't met everybody because I'm not out on every trip all the time, but the volunteers that I've come across, the thing that they all have in common is passion for humankind. So you might love to cycle, you might love to paddle, but your human empathy to helping somebody and supporting somebody to be able to do something that they would otherwise never be able to do is a character trait that all of our volunteers have in common. So whether you're helping a young child that has SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, or you're helping a senior who's a stroke survivor, or you're helping, I just met a young man today that was an Olympian and was injured in a car accident, hit by a drunk driver the year he qualified for the Olympics. And the accident broke his back. But these are the people you're going to come across when you come into CRIS. And if you truly can say, I have just a gene in me that knows that I have that empathy for humankind, and oh, by the way, I'm an avid cyclist, that would make you an exceptional volunteer with CRIS Adaptive.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today, Shelley, and hopefully we'll see you in person again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Stephanie. It was great to chat with you. I hope all your interviews go well.